bad guys are losing. The bad guys are losing, y'all. She lied over and over. She did. And now she's walking away from the Democratic Party as if she was never a part of it. KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, the former White House press secretary, just announced that she's leaving the Democratic Party and dropping a tell-all book called Independent. But let me ask you this, okay? Serious question. If you help build the lie, do you get to profit from exposing it? Something to think about, because for years, she didn't just watch the decline, she defended it. Y'all seen it with your own two eyes. Now, this is her announcing her book real quick, y'all. Let's see if we can make it through it.
Hi, I'm Karine Jean-Pierre, and I am the author of a new book that's coming out this fall called Independent. It's coming out on October 21st, so please do grab it. And the reason I wrote this book, coming out of the White House, serving as White House press secretary was an honor and a privilege. But since I have left, the people that come up to me, strangers that come up to me just across the country as I'm traveling, and sometimes right in my neighborhood, at a grocery store, supermarket, airport, my daughter's school, the number one question they ask me.
Hold on. Before she asks that question, and I know y'all pissed off because I paused it at that moment, but let me stop it right here. She says she's writing a book because people were stopping her in grocery stores begging for answers about democracy. But what were those answers when you had the mic every single day? I mean, every day.
Market, airport, my daughter's school, the number one question they ask me is, Karine, how do we get out of this? How do we protect our democracy? How do we protect vulnerable communities among us? What do we do next? Because we don't have answers here. That's what they ask me. And this is my answer. And what I mean by that is, in an era of misinformation, disinformation, the regressiveness of social policy, what we're seeing currently right now, what I have decided to do, and I really have thought long and hard about this, is to follow my own compass. And that's what I've done. And that's what this book does. And here's the truth. And here's how I will lay it out to you. I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think
the truth, she says,
outside of our boxes and not be so partisan. And the way that I see moving forward in this space that we're in right now is, if you are willing to stand side by side with me, regardless of your how you identify politically, and as long as you respect the community that I belong to and vulnerable communities that I respect, I will be there with you. I will move forward with you. And that is, I think, so important. So this book, Independent, it's about looking outside of boxes, not just always being in a partisan stance. And how do we move forward together in a compassionate way, in a way that really, truly cares about people? October 21st.
For years, she stood at that podium with rehearsed lines deflecting the truth. Like it was beneath her. That's how she was treating the truth. Now, suddenly, she's found her own moral compass. I don't know, man. I don't call this courage at all. This is rebrand. That's what I'm saying. She lied for power, and now she wants to monetize the truth. And I don't even think what's in that book is true. Now I want y'all to see this. Look at this montage. Let's remind ourselves of the damage that was created alongside her, okay, y'all? Just in case anybody forgot, let me get this video correctly, send it, boom.
It would be wrong to think that the border is open. It is not open.
We're headed down to the border. The possible next speaker says that he wants him to go with him. So is he going to?
So look, he's been there. He's been to the border. And since he took office.
When did he go to the border?
But that's not how it works. Like we actually, no.
I know that that's not what you guys want to happen, but that is what is happening.
But it's not like somebody walks over and that's not how
What's happening? Thousands of people are walking in a day. Some of them turn themselves over. Some of them are caught. Tens of thousands a week are not. That is what is happening.
It is not that simple. It's not just that people are walking across the border. They want to secure the border. We've been doing that work on our own. The president has done the work to deal with what we're seeing at the border since day one. Because when you look at inflation, when we look at where we are economically, and we are stronger economically than we have been in history.
The lies.
What we saw on January 6th was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
It just don't stop either. It just don't stop. She didn't just get a few things wrong, y'all. She actively participated in the biggest political gaslight we've ever seen. I mean, the biggest. Ask yourself this. How many families were misled by this woman and the administration? How many Americans voted based on these lies? Every time she stepped onto that podium, she made it harder for people to know what was real. We'll try to see a few of these comments. Of course she wrote a book and knew she was lying every time she stepped up to the podium. I'll never contribute to the bottom line by buying their books. Every line could be another lie. Somebody else said, Matt Van Swole, you are kidding me right now. This is effing insane. Why don't anyone just tell the truth while working there? Nick Shorter responded to that with Karine had to keep a job because she's too stupid to get hired in the private sector. Woo! Now, I want y'all to check out Greg Gutfeld. Was this the plan all along, huh? What's going on?
All right, so here's the problem. This is different. The damage is done. The Democrats always thrived on hoaxes, assuming that by the time the big lie would be exposed, whether it would be Russian collusion or the Fine People hoax, they already got what they needed. The emotional impact of the lie resonated. The truth didn't matter. It's based on that understanding that and working in the press office. The big story always lands on the front page. 2 weeks later, the corrections on page B7. Yeah. That's how it worked. The New York Times and the Washington Post still have their Pulitzers for the alleged Russian interference story, even though we know it's BS. But then something happened, and this is why it's so different. Tapper's book came out, and he deflates this hoax. But it was a hoax that we already knew, but his audience didn't. It was the first time that the correction didn't get buried in the back pages. Biden's infirmity is now more well-known than Biden himself. His name will never be separated from what happened. So the interesting thing, even more interesting than that, if you can imagine, the book didn't sell. That tells you everything. His audience, Jake's audience, was just informed that they were stupid, that they were gullible, that they just got taken. Who wants to buy that book? More important, who wants to be a part of that party that sold you that lie? I don't think there's any way you can walk back from this hoax the way you could with others, because it was played on your side, and the reveal is so spectacular. And the result is resentment, bitterness, disgust over the actions of a party who thought they could pull this off, assuming that the correction would be minor. Instead, it is huge, perhaps the biggest political scandal in history. Finally, in terms of politics in general, the brainwash has worn off. You know, Trump didn't just make the red hats. He made the red pills. People now realize that the Dems have no truth, but just assigned opinions. Think about all of these opinions. You know, rich people bad, poor people good, Joe Biden fine, Trump Hitler, George Floyd a martyr, BLM heroic, men can be women. These were assigned opinions. They came from committee. And once you're without these opinions, what's left? There's no structure. There's no unifying principle. There's no leader. That's what you're feeling. Trump realized this already because he was outside of politics, that for the past 40 years, all political opinions were assigned. You could be a Democrat. He was. You could be a Republican. He was. He is.
Yes.
So love him or hate him, he shattered this prism. There's no going back for Republicans and for Trumpers. Now it's the time for the Democrats to realize they've been suckered, that everything that they were told was assigned to them and not real. Should we get...
As I wanted to point out, again, this ain't just about her. And Greg, he just said it perfect. This was their plan all along. You got to think. They banked on you forgetting. That's how they make all of this work. They knew that if they lied big enough, the correction would get buried. And when do they ever make their corrections or apologies noticeable? But now, the corrections are louder than the headlines. And Karine? I feel like she's just trying to get ahead of the crash, y'all. That's just me, though. I genuinely feel like that. Meanwhile, Democrat leaders are still out here pretending like they're winning. Look at Hakeem, the Dollar General version of Obama.
Project 2025 is a disaster for the American people. It's a reason why the American people are running away from Republicans. But of course, that's one side of the equation. The other side of the equation is how do we rebuild the America that Donald Trump is trying to break in record time.
Are you kidding me?
And that's an effort that we as House Democrats look forward to being a part of as we move forward.
Oh, my gosh.
Project 2020.
The American people are running away from Republicans. I think this guy, he said Democrats wrong. Sir, your party's approval rating is 19%. What metaverse reality are you living in? I really want to know. These people are so deep in denial, they don't realize the building's on fire behind them. Talk about Delulu. I'm telling y'all, I want somebody to be this crazy about me. Find you somebody who's Democrat about you. Not in their way of, they're Democrat in terms of how they love on you. But nothing else. I know a lot of people going to hear that and go, I don't even want that. But, and then there's this, y'all. Show y'all this. While Karine Jean-Pierre was telling us that the president at the time, Biden, was sharp and clear, the reality really was he couldn't even find his way out of the closet. I'm not making this up.
Biden used to get lost in his closet in the mornings in the White House. I mean, the guy literally stumbling around in the White House residence couldn't find his way out of his own closet. The president of the United States. I mean, this is outrageous. We were lied to.
Meanwhile, Bill Clinton says Biden seemed fine.
Listen, Bill Clinton's lying. Let's just be honest. He's lying, frankly, again. Joe Biden was not capable of doing the job. We all know this. The man, it's not just his mental capabilities, in my view, is also his physical capabilities. He wasn't able to hold long, extended meetings with members of Congress, and that's Democrat members of Congress, Republican members of Congress, Republican leadership. He wasn't able to do it. They would send him out there every now and again to do a speech or to speak to the press, and if the press started asking too many questions, his staff would come in and break it up. I've heard the stories that when he was meeting with the four corners, that's the speaker, the Senate majority leader, and the minority leader in both chambers, if he got off script, got off his note card that the staff gave him, they would get him back on script or get him out of the room and end the meeting. This is what was going on. They lied to the American people. They covered up the fact that Joe Biden was not capable of doing the job, and that's why the Oversight Committee is going to investigate.
Yes, it is.
Amen to that. Now, let me ask you something. If a man can't finish a sentence, how is he supposed to lead a nation? Please tell me that. Somebody, please. Nobody's been able to answer that. And if they knew this was happening behind closed doors, what else are they hiding? Karine wasn't just a spokesperson. She was more of a firewall between truth and the American people. And now the damage is done. And she's pretending to be the solution. This is what happens when loyalty is traded for a paycheck. She didn't just walk away. She's trying to cash out. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. This isn't redemption. I feel like this is marketing. I mean, it worked. We just promoted a book, unfortunately. I want to know if y'all going to buy it. And the American people are tired of watching the same people who misled us suddenly act like they on our side, man. She lied. She covered up stuff. She protected literally the machine. And now she wants to write a manual on how to escape it? Nah, we don't need your book. You know what we need from you? Accountability. Be safe. Go check with somebody today. You could be saving their life. Peace.